Welcome everyone to another episode of Big Brain MMA podcast, episode 47, LFA 150, Farias versus Sweeney. Pretty decent card in terms of quality compared to last week's LFA. Obviously that card got ravaged by injuries last minute, and I taped about a bunch of fights, and the next day all of them were cancelled. Whereas this week, I only left one fight till the day of the weigh-ins, which was the Miller fight, and that fight got cancelled. So all works out in the end. This time, I didn't waste my time on the one and only fight that got cancelled. So everything else I taped these low-level prelims that I might not even have odds for. I just essentially taped every single fight that has odds on best fight odds for you guys. So yep, I'll break them all down. Quick recap of last week. Literally had almost nothing. I had $100 on Adam Garcia over Cedric Catambwe. It went up to $4.20. 0.1 unit. All right, so just nothing. Tiny sprinkle. I just thought it was Garcia was a bit unproven and just ran through bums, and I thought the way he's overly aggressive, if he doesn't get a finish, he's most likely going to gas and get finished himself, which is why I had such low stake on it. But I still have to put something on the number just in case he runs through his opponent, because he was mostly a Muay Thai fighter. He got an instant takedown with ease, dropped for a guillotine, right, which is a low IQ move, low experience, and then he hurt his rib and got finished. So yeah, minimum stake. And then in terms of everything else, the only play I kind of regret is not hitting Princeton Jackson against Chris Brandt. I did mention on the podcast I paid for all of Chris Brandt's fights. I saw that he's winning, and then he's been submitted multiple times from behind. And Princeton Jackson, that's his MO. I think I kind of got talked out of it a little bit, and yeah, that's my fault. And I also scared myself away, thinking Brandt can run through him here with his power. If he doesn't, he gets submitted. And I think Jackson had a bit of adversity and then submitted him in round one. So a little bit of regret there. Other than that, I'm happy that I passed on most of the dogs. I retaped McGee, Ramos, passed, even though Ramos was playing $3 something. Passed on Charles. It was a popular dog, mostly because the line. Like I said, I get these odds on day off. By the time Charles was available to me, he was not as much of a dog. And passed on the main event. I couldn't get a read. Didn't really expect Bunes to knock out Hiruchi in the first round. But like I said, Hiruchi is not trusted as a favorite. Just way too hittable. Bit interesting that after all the guys that have dropped Hiruchi, Bunes was the one to finish him. But that happens with these guys with absolutely zero defense. So literally $100 loss on this card. Avoided a bunch of minefield dogs. Yeah, honestly, not much to play. So we'll move on to this card. Let's not waste any more time. As I said on Twitter, I was 5 subscribers away from hitting a nice 200 number. And yeah, since I've asked for 5 more subscribers before the end of this stream, I've got 2 straight away. So if you watch this regularly and you listen regularly, and you're not subscribed, then I think you should be subscribed. If you don't listen, don't care, then I'm not going to force you. But yeah, let's get over 200. That was my goal for 2022 goal. Didn't get there, so if we can get there today, that'll be nice. Let's address some of the OGs. Tattoo Dreams, Arvo Gents, how are you, mate? UFC betting experience, Yuma crying face. Oh no, mate. Hope you didn't bet it. Pepe Sylvia, hey mate, good luck to you this weekend. Thank you, mate. Let's see if we're on the same side. So first fight on the card that has odds: Karl Zimic, Conor Penka. This is a short notice professional debut for Conor Penka. Zimic, actually both of them are making their professional debut. Karl Zimic, short, stocky wrestler, southpaw. He has a lot of amateur fights. 9-2, lost his last one to a decision. It was a title fight. Quite experienced. Still not 30 years of age. Lost to Abbas Abbasov. He wants to go for a takedown. He's got a decent amount of submissions. He can be taken down himself for quite a big stocky guy, and he can lose a bit of position as well. So he's not like this grinding wrestler that's has no holes in his game. But yeah, not a bad fighter. And his opponent Conor Penka. Now this guy has a lot of wrestling footage on YouTube. He's had 2 amateur fights, both in 2022. A little bit awkward on the feet. You can tell that maybe his striking is not his main path to victory. Had a rear naked choke finish against the first guy, and then the second guy, Ethan Carsten, that he fought. The commentators were saying he has a collegiate wrestling background, and he was kind of throwing Penka around, and he looked a weight class above. Picked him up and slammed him multiple times from the back, controlling round 1, and then rounds 2 and 3 kind of gassed, and Penka just out-scrambled him and outstruck him. Penka's dropping down to featherweight in this fight, so obviously that's a good thing considering a lightweight in that last fight. I did think he looked a weight class below. He just seems like a very good scrambler. I think Zimic is the more physical, potentially stronger guy, potentially better wrestler. He does have his striking looks a bit better as well, or it looks more comfortable on the feet, if anything. But Penka's a good scrambler, and he's got good cardio. And in that last fight that he lost to Abasov, he was getting takedowns, but he was getting reversed. He did get tired himself a little bit. I know Zimic has been preparing for this fight, but he's also making his professional debut, and now it's 5-round fights. If Penka can keep his cardio, it's a dog or pass for me. Obviously, you would lean with the experience of Zimic, and he looks a little bit cleaner everywhere. It's just, I don't trust him at these odds. Let me check what the odds are. Like I mentioned on Twitter, I don't get these odds till the day off. Yeah, $3.10. Like I said, there's a lot of wrestling footage of Penka. I think he was younger on YouTube, but now he seems a bit more scrambly, and he's dropping down to featherweight. Yeah, if Zimic can't finish him and he gasses out, and I think this is going to be a scramble heavy fight. It's a dog or pass for me. I might take a stab. We'll see how the weigh-ins look, and I'll take a stab potentially. But yeah, dog or pass at the moment. Next fight, Jackson McVeigh, David Paulson. Jackson McVeigh apparently has 10 years of jiu-jitsu. Just wants to take down. He clinches a lot. Not a physical guy. A lot of subs. And he's fighting David Paulson, who seems to be a boxer. He's very light on his feet. He's been submitted a lot of times. I assume that's why the line is so juiced. Let's have a little double look. I'm pretty sure it's something completely unplayable. McVeigh, yeah, $1.15. You can't play. I think he's going to have some disadvantages here. I think Paulson might be more. He's also young. He's 23. He might be more athletic. He seems to have a lot of boxing fights, a lot of stand-up fights. But yeah, like I said, guillotine, Americana, key lock loss, triangle choke. And even in his last win against Tom Theocaris, he was getting mounted, had his back taken. I think at some point, even though he might be winning, maybe he might hurt or reverse McVeigh. At some point, he's just going to get submitted. I think there's a big grappling disadvantage for him here. So yeah, McVeigh wins this potentially by submission. Again, I have no props. If you can get sub, that might be a good play. But yeah, unplayable line. What do we have next? Adamu Isaiah Ganbat buys Gala. Now this is an interesting fight. If anyone has any footage of Adam Isaiah at all, that would be great. I see that he's competed in Commonwealth Games. That's like the Olympics version of all the Commonwealth countries, Australia, England, India, etc., Canada. Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker is a Commonwealth Games silver medalist in wrestling. It's a couple of notches below Olympics, honestly. I don't even know what his sport is that he competed at. Like, there's no footage of him at all. I went to Instagram. I'm just trying to find the highlights of his wins, at least finishes. All right, he's got 2 strikes, 2 decisions. He's competed in LFA 3 times now. He seems to be like either Taekwondo Kung Fu guy, a lot of kicking. So I assume maybe Taekwondo or something. But yeah, I can't find anything. Nothing at all. It just says that he competes in Commonwealth. Now this Gambat Bazgalan guy is a Mongolian. This was going to be a complete pass for me. And Gambat is a decent sized dog. He's 33 years of age. He's 3-0, and he's fought. His last win is against the 5-1 guy in one FC Warriors series, which is like a lower level of 1FC. And he beat him by decision. And I couldn't find his fights either, but I found a highlight. And he's a typical Mongolian with power, southpaw. He's got takedowns. Just seemed to be durable, powerful. I feel like taking a blind stab on Gambat, with no footage whatsoever. Again, if you're listening, there's 11 of you now. I'm calling you out. If there's any footage of Adamu Isaiah, just highlights or anything, just send it to me. But I might just take a blind stab, which I never usually do. But if you're going to take blind stabs, I've done it multiple times last year on big dogs. You can do it on LFA. Because obviously the bookies probably can't find any tape either. So they're just playing Isaiah. Isaiah is a $1.25 favorite. Right, and Gambat, he's proven. He's 3-0. And he's 33, so he's not young. He's been around the block. Yeah, I feel like hitting this Mongolian just completely blind with no footage. Especially if Issa, I've been saying Isaiah, if Adamu Issa is a Kung Fu guy, maybe doesn't have ground game. I see he trains at Killcliff FC, but who knows? Who knows, right? Holler at me, send me something if you have any footage. If not, here we go. UFC betting experience. I had a feeling you were going to come through for me. I found these fights on Facebook. I will share on comments. Thank you, mate. I don't know. I put it in Google, and when I put it in Google, it pops up with LFA prelims on Facebook straight away. And I don't know, for him, nothing popped up. But if you could, mate, greatly appreciated. But I will take a stab potentially on Gambat. Next fight, Gary Conkle, Isaac Thompson. Interesting fight. Tons of footage on Gary. Decent amount of footage on Isaac Thompson, considering he's 2-1. Isaac Thompson is one of these new breed kids. He's from Australia. One of the boys. He's apparently his parents sent him out to travel the world and train. He's been training at Alpha Male. He's been jumping gyms. He's one of these new breeds that just does everything, right? He was a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu last time he fought in 2021. And you can see he's got a decent grappling base. There's some striking fights on YouTube as well. He's pretty competent in the striking. He's just, he leaves a bit to be desired. Doesn't have the most power. He's more technical than anything. Got some sparring attributes to his striking. Right, he's more pretty to the eye than anything. He's 2-1. He fought this Luis Garcia guy that he fought. He debuted as a 19-year-old against Luis Garcia. Garcia was landing the more impactful shots. He was. It seemed like a close fight, but every time Garcia threw something, it seemed to kind of create a bigger impact. And then obviously later on in the round, he started to grapple a bit more, and then took him down in the second and got his back, and that's when the tide turned and he got the finish. So I don't think he's as comfortable in the stand-up just yet. And then his loss on LFA, he fought Dorian Ramos, and Dorian Ramos just ran through him. Just a more physical guy. He's almost 30 years of age. Took him down. He was in some deep heel hooks. Isaac Thompson, he was constantly inverting. Deep heel hooks, was going for the back. So his bread and butter is definitely the grappling. And he also had a fight in combat jiu-jitsu. And I was kind of, what can you learn from combat jiu-jitsu? But he was definitely fighting like a MMA fighter. Like he was just, whenever he got a takedown, he was just looking for ground and pound, the open-handed slaps, the palm strikes. But yeah, Dorian Ramos, his only loss, he was just fishing for submissions, and then eventually Ramos just kind of tired him out from constantly being on top, throwing ground and pound, and finished him in round 2. Ramos is now 4-1, so a bit of a step up, and his one loss is a split decision. So yeah, these 19-year-olds, when they go up against fully matured men, it's always hard. There's always a physicality disadvantage. Gary Conkle on the other side, this dude, Playboy G, the nickname. Not a bad nickname, if I might say so myself. I don't know if he's a playboy with some of these tattoos and the hair color choice, but no judgment there. This guy's been submitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row on his amateur career, right? His last submission was by Quan Lee. We'll talk about him soon. And after that, he's been submitted in his second pro fight with an armbar from guard by Jose Aguayo. He's got a lot of subs, that guy, which is a red flag, right? If you see how close Isaac Thompson was to getting submissions in his one loss, I don't know if Conkle can survive that onslaught if he takes him down. Other than that, he's quite physical. He pressures forward. He's aggressive. He's got decent power. I'm impressed by his strikes. In his last loss to David Evans in LFA, who David Evans is a solid fighter. He was 4-1 at the time. He's 5-1 now. He was cracking David Evans, and David Evans had to resort to takedowns to get Conkle off his back. And Conkle still, what he has, one of his biggest disadvantages is the takedown defense. Almost everyone takes him down with ease, right? Johnny Rodeas 9-18. Sam Hernandez 3-3, right? Pretty low level guys. Davon Selt 1-2. All these guys took him down with ease. And the thing is, he submitted him. He's got an active guard, and he submitted him. So he's got good pressure. He's got good striking. He switches stances. He's physical. He has power, although he can be taken down easy. But then he has an active guard, and he submits people. But he only submits, low level guys. 1-7 again. All these are just guys that get finished by everyone. So he is a decent underdog here. I feel like I want to take a shot on him. I want to take a shot on him due to his physicality and, he's definitely more physical than Isaac Thompson, and the power, and he's probably going to be more comfortable on the feet and the pressure. It's just if they end up on the ground, I don't think Isaac's going to have trouble taking him down just because no one has. And then it's like, has his submission defense improved since 2021 where he got armbarred from guard? I don't know. I don't know if it has. David Evans just took him down with ease multiple times. I don't know. I feel like this dog has a bit of value. But yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of that the Princeton Jackson fight last week. I talked about it. He might be winning, but he clearly has a susceptibility to being subbed. So yeah, it's a dog or pass for me, but at the moment I'm having to pass personally. I asked someone in Discord, does anyone know Gary Conkle's jiu-jitsu level, like his belt? And I would love to know. Just because of the sub wins, maybe he's decent, maybe he's a purple belt. In which case, maybe he can hold his own and survive, and then gas Thompson out and then knock him out. But yeah, no one responded to me. So if anyone knows Conkle's belt level, let me know. Here we go. UFC betting experience. Adomo Sai versus. Yeah, sending through the fights. Thank you, mate. Maybe you know what Gary Conkle's belt level is. Let me know. But yeah, dog or pass for me. I'm worried that Gary might get submitted at some point. Next fight, the last prelim, Kwang Lee versus Henry Hoof. Another unplayable favorite. Henry Hoof is not bad in terms of he's a decent wrestler. He keeps, he's got the cardio to wrestle for 3 rounds, which is what you look for in a big size dog. And Kwang Lee can be taken down. The only thing is, I think Kwang Lee is a lot more well-rounded. He's fought, Sam Panitz in his last fight, and I think he's a lot more physical and a better wrestler. And he ended up winning a 3-round decision. He took him down as well in round 3. He's got some sharp striking. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. Like I said, he's a well-rounded guy. His last amateur fight, he actually got submitted by Gabriel Wanderlei. So I kind of contemplated playing Hoof. The thing that's stopping me is Hoof is very he's not physical at all. He's not physical and he's not dangerous. His wins are by decision most of the time. His level of competition is a bit average. He's lost to anyone kind of decent. He's lost by KO. He got rocked in his one fight against his other loss against Philippe Danis in LFA. He won the 3rd round, so he's a gritty guy. He'll be there. He'll be there trying to wrestle. And his last loss was to a 3-4 guy. So I just think he's a bit one-dimensional, and he might take Kwang Lee down. I think the best case for him here is to lose at 29-28. But I think Kwang Lee potentially knock him out or submit him. Just a big, bit of a skill difference, and I think the physicality. The physicality is a big thing. I don't think he can manhandle Kwang Lee here. So Yeah, massive pass. Yeah. Alrighty. So first fight on the main card. We're getting into some decent fights now. Actually, let me just have a sip of my coffee. What are we up to? 20 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. I made a decision to leave my charger in the kitchen, so I'm committed to smashing out the podcast without the laptop dying. So going good so far. So first fight of the main card, Wes Schultz, Dylan Botka. Solid fight. It's going to be a grapple heavy fight. Wes Schultz, I actually taped for the first time before his last win. I really didn't like what I've seen from him. I was actually looking to fade him. The only reason I didn't fade him is because he was fighting a undersized, let me see what his name is if my slow laptop works, John Knudsen, that hasn't fought in like 10 years or something. Let me just double check. Yeah, 34-year-old John Knudsen. His last fight was 2013. And he was coming back after almost a 10-year hiatus to fight Wes Schultz. So I passed on that. I said, this is not the guy to fade him. Other than that, Wes Schultz, his striking kind of reminds me of Elias Teodoro. Rest in peace, Elias. He's a grappler. He's got solid wrestling, but he's got a lot of flaky tendencies. He backs up when he can't get his wrestling going. He's just flailing. He's kind of gassing. Had a really bad look against Hamza Salim in his second fight. He went for takedowns, and round 2 he couldn't get any takedowns. He was just shooting unset up shots and lost round 2. Credit to him, he came back in round 3 and he outgrinded Salim. Apparently that fight was on 1 day notice, even less than day's notice. So, he's got some stones to take that fight and still win. It explains why he looks so bad, but he's looked bad in other fights. His last amateur fight against Zach Rylia, which was in 2021, so not long ago, he got a rear naked choke in round 3. And he was putting himself in deep subs. He was getting reversed by Zach. Jeff Nielsen, another guy that's a good wrestler, took him down with ease. Had a lot of top time, and then Wes got a guillotine finish. So he's got some decent submissions. He's got some bit of himself, like Gabe Taylor, like Kimura again in 2019. So he's a good scrambler. He's a decent wrestler, but it's just a lot of holes there. A lot of holes, and his level of competition is horrendous. All right, he's 3-0. Victor Jones 5-14. Tab 2 of on flu check straight away. Salim on 1 day's notice, and John Knudsen. Like he's getting set up here. He's getting set up in a lot of his wins. But I'll give him that. He's a solid wrestler. Now, Dylan Botka, first time I've taped this guy, 22-year-old. This guy reminds me of a less entertaining Spike Carlisle. Very physical, short, stocky guy. Wants to grapple. He has no trouble keeping you against the cage for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes at a time. He will just keep you there looking for the takedown. And when he gets his hands locked, more often than not, you're going for a ride. So he's quite physical. It's just sometimes, like I said, gets stuck against the cage for a long period of time. So maybe he doesn't have the best wrestling, best technique. But yeah, he'll push for it, which is what you want to see. You don't want to deviate from the game plan. He lost his debut to David Gladfelter in Icon FC. Not the best look. He looked pretty bad off his back. Eventually got, Mount didn't know what to do. David looked pretty big. That was at catch weight, 195, so a bit above middleweight. So I guess it's understandable. David, after that it was 3-0, but now he's 3-2, so maybe not the best look. But he looked much better against other fighters. T. Cummings, I know him, decent name, another physical guy. Just kind of took his time on the cage and took him down and broke him down. And in round 2, locked in a rear naked choke. Again, very Spike Carlisle performance. He looks heavy on top. Even though it doesn't do much damage, it just looks to go to mount, looks to go to the back control and lock in a submission. And then Lytle Pog, in his last fight, he was, again, a very big physical guy. Won a decision there. Doesn't do much striking. He's a bit wild. Doesn't do much striking. He just kind of throws out a few wild strikes, and then just, again, looks to clinch, looks to go for the takedown. So this is, like I said, this is going to be a grapple-heavy fight. I taped this before the odds were out, and I was kind of hoping Botka would be an underdog, just to being a little bit underwhelming, just with a lot of cage time and, cage time, clinch time. Losing, he can lose position as well. He can get taken down himself. And I thought, Wes Schultz, maybe the 3-0 sparkling record and running through people, the odds would be in his favor. Apparently they opened up like that, and now Botka is a worse than -200 favorite. So, yeah, at this point, despite all the red flags, I'm looking at, do I want to play with Schultz? I feel like Budka, he could get the takedown here. He might have the better cardio. Now, who knows? Maybe at some point Schultz submits him, right? Like I said, there's a lot of red flags with Schultz, but even when he's gassed, even when he's tired, he's comfortable in a scramble heavy fight. I definitely think he's got the better jiu-jitsu technique. And he's 6'2", and he's a big guy himself. Budka's a little short and stocky. It's just unplayable now. Now I'm just thinking about playing Schultz. Maybe he catches a submission at some point. We'll see. But it's a bit of a step up for him. I might have to look at Schultz's amateur career deeper and see how he's going in some of these grappling fights, and also some of the Budka's fights. I only taped 3 fights. I don't want to go too deep. Sometimes I can get a good read from a couple of fights. So now it's a dog or pass for me. I would lean Budka, but he doesn't warrant this price. Okay, next fight on the main card. Mitchell McKee, Ira Lukovsky. Interesting fight. McKee is a very physical and high level wrestler. He's fought in LFA a couple of times and in Bellator in his last fight. Essentially just takes everyone down, looks to land some ground and pound. Had some adversity in his second last fight. He was in a triangle choke for a long time, a fully locked in triangle choke. He gutted it out and then knocked out his opponent. He's got power. But other than that, he's just ran through. He's finished everyone in rounds 1 or 2. Got some decent ground and pound. So a typical wrestler archetype. This Ira Lukovsky dude is quite old. He's 36 years old. He's got a puncher's chance. He's very explosive. Hits very, very hard. He was a previous Titan FC champion. He got that title by getting round 2 knockout over Alberto Montes, who was 5-0 at the time. It's quite impressive. And then obviously lost it to Vandal Araujo. He was 6-3 at the time, and the guy's got taken down. He fought the takedown for a bit, got taken down, and then instantly got his back taken and got submitted. So that's the red flag here. He's got power, and he doesn't look like a scrub. This doesn't look like a setup match. Ira Lukovsky, I've watched a lot of his fights that I could find. He's only 3-1, and he's sparking people out cold. He definitely has a puncher's chance. If I had props, I would definitely sprinkle Ira at Ira by KO. But I think that's his best chance. I don't know how he wins a decision, considering that he got taken down in that last fight. It was a bit of a red flag, and then instantly submitted. I think Araujo is a black belt. But yeah, obviously, I might still put like $100. I don't want to, these fights that, like Adam Garcia, that they're very wide, but they could still get run through because they're very, very unproven. But I think Ira Lukovsky at $6.50 for a puncher's chance, and the guy hits hard, and he doesn't brawl. He's got fast hands, good combinations. So potentially you could see a 0.1 unit stab. I don't even want to put a quarter unit on this. Just a little stab. Why not? UFC betting experience agrees with me. Lira plus 550 worth a stab just for the power. McKee never got hit like that in the fight he had. Exactly. It's just a puncher's chance, but he has a big puncher's shot, so why not? Right. Let's move on. Scott Ritz versus Jalen Turner. This is again another decently high level fight for LFA. Ritz, kill or be killed fighter. I don't think this guy's ever been to round 3. Let me just have a little gaze. I taped this guy for the first time extensively when he fought Craig Fruth. I think that was one of the first cards I actively bet. Assis versus Murray, LFA. I was discussing with my boy Subliminal MMA, do I want to take Fruth as an underdog over Fritz, due to Ritz, being knocked out himself. Both these guys were chinny, but Fruth is one of the chinniest guys ever, and he got sparked in round 1. He actually did crack Ritz in that fight, but Ritz could take it and Fruth couldn't. So he's a southpaw. He's got some decent striking, in and out. Hands low, he feints. I like what I see from his striking. He's just the chin is up there. He gets cracked a bit. Like I said, he's in his amateur loss, submitted in round 1 by Lee Parrish. Josh Streaker, in Bellator, knocked him out in round 2. Streak is quite good. Yeah, I think he's got a karate background. He's 8-5 now. Oh, maybe he's not that good, but he's lost to Dakota Bush. 5-1 Taylor Ray. Scott Fertel, yeah. He's a decent fighter. Decent striker at least. And Ritz, before he got knocked out, I thought it was quite a close fight in terms of the striking. I thought Ritz was doing better. And then he got finished by guillotine choke against JP St. Louis. Red flag. Lewis is not that great, although he almost did finish Slava in Titan as well. And then everyone else, after that, 11-8, rear naked choke, 5-4, arm triangle choke, Derek Smith, 10-8, and then obviously Farouk Pachinius-Gaeva. All round 1 finishes against Cans. He's going to do that. He's got power. Like I said, he knocks everyone out. And then he also gets finished himself. From the tape that I can find, even the shots that he took from John Stricker, his chin doesn't seem that bad, but the guy that is fighting Fuller, this guy has horrendous takedown defense, and I see a lot of people taking Ritz due to the fact that he could get wrestled here. But man, I've watched now, 1, 2, 3 amateurs, the Josh Stricker fight, the Fruth fight, a couple more pro fights, and he doesn't shoot for takedowns. He might when he drops people, he goes in and he's got decent top control and usually finishes them with a submission or ground and pound. That's fine, but they're cans. Like I said a week ago, when you're fighting these cans, these guys look like they're good everywhere, because the cans are bad everywhere. So I don't think he's going to actively look for wrestling. He just doesn't. The Josh Stricker fight, he was fighting a karate guy that's good at stand-up. And if there was ever a time for him to shoot, it would have been that fight, and he just didn't shoot. He just chose to strike with him for 2 rounds and got knocked out. So, yeah, Jalen Fuller, this guy has been missing weight a lot, and he seems to have got his weight in order. Welterweight, his last 2 fights, Gabe Saunders, and against, geez, look at this name, Mike Tibek, Oral Bay. What a last name. Oral Bay. Yeah, no comment there. That would have been a good nickname for some girls that I know. But yeah, he's just, now that he's a welterweight, he's quite a big welterweight. I think he has around an 8-inch reach advantage over Ritz, which is, against the guy so hittable and with his hands low. No, it's a bad recipe. He's quite fluid with his striking, in and out, bouncy. Southpaw as well. So 2 southpaws, one has massive reach, and he's got decent power as well. A lot of these guys that are wrestling him, he gets up and he just, he works his way up to his feet and just knocks him out. It's quite fast, quite fluid. And he's got some submissions as well. Mile Amos was taking him down for 3 rounds and he got an ninja choke. Treston Wines, he dropped him and then Fuller knocked him out. So yeah, I'm not sure about his chin. Bruno Assis wobbled him as well. I knocked his mouthpiece out, but that was a middleweight. I don't know if Ritz holds that kind of power. It's a tough fight. It seems like a volatile fight to me. I would personally just hit the dog. I think Fuller opened up as a dog. Again, with these bets, I just have to sit on my hands, right, with LFA. It literally opens on the day off. So tomorrow morning, Saturday for me, I'll get these odds. And I'll have to wake up early and place them before the fight started in the afternoon. But yeah, he opened up as an underdog. Now he's a favorite. Now Ritz is a dog, and I see people taking him. And yeah, I just can't. I can't play it. I can't play until tomorrow. So I don't know where this line's going to go. I guess you can really play it either way, whoever the dog is. The only reason I wouldn't play Ritz as a favorite is because he seems hittable and he has a reach disadvantage, and I'm not sure if he'll wrestle. And I don't know about Jalen Ford. The reason I don't want to play him as a favorite is he just doesn't strike me as someone to play as a favorite, right? He was a favorite against Bruno Assis, slight, lost to unanimous, and he could knock out Bruno Assis, right? If you're going to knock someone out, it's Bruno Assis. Everyone knocks out Bruno Assis. And then the Oral Bay fight just got wrestled. The guy was a wrestler. It's tough. It's a volatile fight. This fight is just dictated by the odds for me, so I might have to pass. Unfortunately, if I got Fuller as an underdog, I would play him, and I think you could potentially get around round 2 KO on Ritz. But I feel like Ritz can get a KO over him too. It's just he's fought nobody. He's fought Cans. And whenever he's taken a step up, he's been knocked out himself. So yeah, pass 5 for me at the moment. We've got a bunch of comments here. Let's have a look. Got a bunch of comments here. Let's have a look. 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 Let Pepe Silvia, Oral Bay was one of the best bets of the year too. I'm sure he would have been, mate. I wasn't even betting on LFA back then. I would like to think I would have been sharp enough to take advantage of that line. Betting experience. Jalen open odds was crazy. Like living in the wrong side of the globe. Yeah, what can you do? It is what it is. I take the lines I can get and I bet them and I try not to get upset. One day, who knows? You could see me. I would love to live in New Zealand like my boy Scrap. Just has all the books. Who knows? I'm still living off this. Living in a probably the worst country for betting, Australia. Even live betting is illegal here. So got to be grateful. At least I can. At least I don't get taxed. And Pepe again, he opened up like minus plus 200. Yeah, what can you do? Let's move on. Miguel Sanson versus Mark Climaco. Very high level fight. Probably the number 2 high level fight behind the main event here. Miguel Sanson, very annoyed that I lost money trying to fade him with White in his last fight. That was Tyus White. Tyus White seemed like a gritty wrestler. Fight for your money, good reach. And then he just gassed out. Hellman gets the cage a lot in round 1. Got that round on 2 judges' scorecards, and he just gassed out incredibly quickly. And Sansong seemed like a good fighter. He was very young, and I watched one of his amateur fights, I think against Trevin Kruger, where he got dropped bad, and then recovered and got a rear naked choke. I think that's what was staying in my head. I was like, this guy shouldn't be that much of a favorite. He's young. He's got holes. He can be dropped. In the end, he just, retaping it again, he outstruck Tyus White. Could have been a clear 30-27. It felt like a forced bet. That was a month where I was just getting a bit by bit profit, 0.8, 0.7 profit on every card, just being very disciplined, and then to lose like $400 on Tyus White on a forced bet like that was very annoying. But a good fighter, wide stance. I like his striking. I like his distance management. He mixes in wrestling every now and then, Miguel Sanson, and he seems to be very, very strong on top, very strong hips. Whenever he gets a takedown of his opponents, he gets to the back, he's got heavy hip pressure. So he seems to be good at jiu-jitsu as well. Very well-rounded. Mark Climaco, this dude, solid. I talked about this guy when I was breaking down Yuma. I said Climaco was Yuma's best win. Bit mean, threw a 1-2 and knocked him out. I mean, Yuma hasn't done that to much people since. Climaco, just a physical, athletic Hawaiian wrestler. Southpaw. He's a grinder. Watching some of his fights, like the Nakanuela and Kalohi, he's a bunch of Hawaiians. Just kind of leaves a bit to be desired. Like, a lot of them are getting up. He does get to their back, but they just doesn't really threaten the choke, and they get up and then they pressure him again. He kind of tires out in round 3, gets busted up in round 3, and then you watch the Yuma fight right after that, and it's like, is this guy a little bit hittable? Is he just a bit one-dimensional? He doesn't have the best control. And then, the Cody Davis fight, that was probably his best opponent other than Yuma, and he looked to have the cardio for 5 rounds, and he's young, he's improving. He looked a lot more dominant with his wrestling and his grinding style. He still got reversed, he still got stood up against, but Davis himself is a solid wrestler, so no harm in that. I think he's improving. I would have taken Sung Song as a big underdog. That obviously the odds were originally when it opened up. I knew that wouldn't hold. Obviously, other people took that bet as well. Now Climaco is a minus 200. I don't know. Watching the White fight, White did get some easy takedowns out in open space whenever he wanted in rounds 2, and a lot of cage time. And White is not a physical guy. He's an okay wrestler, but he's not a physical guy. And Sanson, did okay to defend in round 1 and did good to stand up in round 2 when he did get taken down. But Mark Climaco is going to be doing that for 3 rounds. There's going to be no quit. He's not going to stop with that game plan. So, I do favor Climaco. It's just minus 200. Yeah, it's too one-dimensional for me. I see some people saying Climaco can keep it close with the striking. I don't know. He doesn't really strike with anyone really, and he doesn't seem too comfortable sometimes against some of these other Hawaiians, and even taking out the fight where he got knocked out. I didn't like what I see. Against the really, I a really talented guy like Miguel Sanson, who's a lot more cleaner and a lot more disciplined with his striking. And he also had good volume. The volume just kept going up and up against Titus White. I don't know. I think this could be one of those fights when Climaco could get a lot of grind time, clinch time, and Sanson maybe lands a couple of good strikes, a bit more damage. Maybe if Climaco is chinny, drops him and steals rounds like that. So, yeah, I still have questions about both these guys, and they're young, they're improving. If I had massive odds on Sanson, then I wouldn't mind finding out with my money those questions. But now it's like, how's Mark Climaco going to cover minus 200? Most likely has a grinding 3-round decision. I don't know. Who knows? It's pass for me. Pass for me. Let's catch up in the comments. My boys has gone back and forth. Love it. Climaco should roll. Pepe, yeah. Tend to agree. UFC betting experience agrees as well. Minus 200 seems how it should price. Not much value left. Yeah, I agree. Not much value. These first few cards of the month, both UFC and LFA, they're really testing my discipline. I'm really not having much to play with here. So it's annoying me that I'm breaking down so many fights and just having to just pass on everything. It's quite annoying. But it's better than forcing things, kids. That's the main lesson here. Thomas Patterson, Richard Foster. This is a squash match. Foster is a Gracie black belt, apparently. There is one fight where he just got sparked with one punch out cold. That's all you need to see, really. Thomas Patterson's knocked out some decent guys. I mean, decent for heavyweight LFA regional scene. He's a good wrestler. He was wrestling Waldo Acosta before he got knocked out. I think he just runs through Foster here. It's 38 years old. Let me see how many other times. So Suat Tuani is the guy that sparked him with one punch. Sparked before. Yeah, he's been sparked a couple of times in the first round. So if anyone can put if anyone has the under 1.5 here, maybe let me know what it is. Or Patterson round 1. And then on top of that, if you want to place a bet for me, I'll transfer you because I can't. So yeah, it's squash match. Patterson should win, and by round 1 finish as well. And now the main event, probably the best, hands down the best fight on the card. Ari Farias versus John Sweeney. Good fight. This could be on a contender series, with the winner potentially getting into the UFC. I know John Sweeney from beforehand. He got ran through by Cody Durden, I think when they were both undefeated. Karate dude. 27 years old, nice and young. I'm not going to hold too much stock into that fight. How long ago was that? 2020. He was 25. At that time, Cody Durden, was finishing a lot of the guys in round 1. And even in the UFC, his best round is round 1 before he gasses out. But yeah, since then, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Won 5 fights in a row. Beaten Cole Smith by split. He was a grindy wrestler, just got cut from the UFC, and beat Ricardo Diaz, who I don't know much about him. A 10-5 guy. Let me see if I know. Refresh my memory. George Garcia. Just an LFA guy. No, don't know much about him. He's got a decent record, 10-5. He lost to Tanaka. Yeah. The one thing that comes out that sticks out to me with Sweeney is he's got decent power, and he's got that hands low karate style, wide stance, switches, but he fights very close. And he just doesn't let his hands go. When he does let him go, he can drop people, he can hurt him. He doesn't do it often enough. He's happy to bounce around and go to a decision, try outstrike people to a close decision, which you don't like to see it, right? Especially if someone's going to grapple him like Ari Farias. Now, Ari Farias, this guy's a beast, at least in terms of jiu-jitsu, 7-time world champ. First time I seen this guy was when I was taping Oliveira for Contender Series. Simone Oliveira, who is fighting in next week's UFC. I might have a bet there, already locked in, just a heads up. He's fought in ACB. He beat Simone Oliveira. Decent high level of competition. He's got rear naked chokes in LFA. Ronnie Henrique, rear naked choke. Johnny Campbell destroyed his ear. That was a doctor stoppage. The only thing is, I'm not sure if he's a bit chinny, right? So he's been knocked out in round 1 twice against 2 and 3 guy in 19 seconds. And then Marcos Breno sparked him in 56 seconds in LFA in the second last fight with one punch. Or third last fight, pardon me. And Breno's good. He just beat Hill in Bellator. That was one of the fights that I was in Europe for. and I missed out on that dog show. Everyone was talking about it, and I didn't have time to tape. I'm sure I would have been on brand. I'm very annoying. But yeah, he's a high-level guy. So Farias also, despite having such a high level of jiu-jitsu, and he's really jacked, he's explosive, he's strong, he's got good double leg, he's got great sweeps. Apparently he's I think he won the world championships at every single belt level, which is insane. So he was a world champion of white, blue, purple, brown, and black. Despite having such a big advantage over everyone, he's having close fights as well. So Simone Oliveira fight, 2018. He took Simone down in every single round. I mean, we know Simone, he's a bit of an idiot with his guillotines. He kept going for him against Gravely. He took him down every round, and he got dropped in round 1 by Simone at the end. He had him in mount, had his back control, and he couldn't finish. And I honestly thought that could have been a split decision, a classic control versus damage, because Oliveira was throwing a lot from the bottom. He busted him up. Arias was bloodied up. He got a decision there. He had a split decision against Tanaka in his last one, and I'm just surprised that it was a split. He took Tanaka down in the first, had his back, took him down in the second, had his back. Tanaka got out with, I can't remember how long to go. And even the third, I think that was Tanaka's best round. He had the most top time. But that's the thing. He gets you back, and he takes you down, and he just stays on top. And when you get up, he just takes you down again, or he sweeps, and he just stays on top. And there's not much ground and pound. He's a jiu-jitsu guy through and through. And both these guys fight close. And at current odds, Farias is minus 200. I don't know. I see a lot of people saying, Farias takes him down, runs through him. I could see it. I haven't really seen his jiu-jitsu tested since Cody Durden ran through him on the ground. He flattened them out, pounded them out. Cole Smith got some takedowns, but Cole Smith is just a grinder. He just sits on your back, gets the hooks in, and not really dangerous with submissions. So I might have to retake this fight again, just look some more. It's not a good thing, but I was actually taping this fight in the car as I was driving to training. I've got a little attachment on the car for maps, like a GPS. So I just put my phone there and watch. I might have to retape it again, but I lean Farias, but I think John Sweeney is improving, and he's got some decent punching power, and despite not throwing a lot, he could steal rounds here, because Farias, all his losses he's getting knocked out, and Simone Oliveira dropped him as well. So he just seems to kind of freak out when he's getting hit, and then he's kind of panic wrestling. So I think it's a tough one. If I had that early line like Pepe and some of the other boys, I would have been on Farias. But now it's a dog or pass for me. I think Sweeney's live for a knockout. I think Farias is live for a submission. If the under's good, you can play the under there. So that's it for the card. Let's quickly run through it and then get out of here. I've got plenty of battery. UFC betting experience. Hate Sweeney. Kid cost me. Dog odds last 2 times by split. But here's value here. Indeed, he fights close. And he's fought, a couple of grapplers in a row, and, they take him down, but he's good at scrambling up, and he's 27, so no doubt he's improving. So let's go through the card quickly. It's getting a little bit hot in here. So Carl Zimic. I just realized I might have been calling him Zimmer. Carl Zimic versus Conor Penka. It's a dog pass for me. Penka seems to be a good grappler. Short notice, but he's dropping down to featherweight. Both making their debut. I think Zimic might have some advantages, but I feel like Penka might take over because he seems to be a good grappler, have good cardio. So dog pass for me there. We'll see what the line is tomorrow. Jackson McVeigh, Devin Paulson, I think Ray submits him, unplayable. Adamu, Isa, Ganbat, Baskalan. I really want to hit a Ganbat. My boy, betting experience, is going to give me these 2 fights, so I'm going to watch him. But either way, I think I'm going to play Ganbat as a dog. I said that about Ramos last week, and I didn't play, so just maybe watch my Twitter for my plays. Gary Conkle, Isaac Thompson. I feel like playing Conkle. I don't like how submittable he is. Yes, he's been submitted a lot in his amateurs, but he's been submitted in his pro MMA and his second pro fight as well from guard. So yeah, it's a dog or pass. I don't know. Pass for me at the moment. Quan Lee, I think he beats half, unplayable. Where's Schultz? I would have liked to play Budka as a dog or the opening line. Now I'm looking at Schultz. I'll retape it, see if he has a chance of catching Budka in a scramble or something. if it's going to be a grapple heavy fight. Mitchell McKee, Ira Lukovsky. It's a dog or pass. I think Lukovsky will be taken down here, but he does have a puncher's chance. The guy's very dangerous, big, heavy hands and fast hands too. So I might take $100 sprinkle. Scott Ritz, full up. This fight is dictated by the odds. Whoever's the dog, maybe I join the boys and sprinkle Ritz as a dog, but I don't know. We'll see. See where the line goes. Sanson Climaco. I slightly favor Climaco at -200. It's a pass. Thomas Pedersen, squash fight. He win round 1. Play that if you have it. Aria Farias, John Sweeney. All the values on Sweeney now. I'll have to look into some more of his jiu-jitsu. I think it could be a close fight, or I think one of these guys is going to finish either way. So it's either Farias sub or Sweeney KO. At the moment, it's a pass. So like I said, annoying that so far January, nothing on the 2 LFA cards other than like $100 sprinkle. I think we might be good with some sprinkles here. We'll see what the odds open up. I'll still play some stuff. I don't mind losing a little bit of money. I'd rather lose a little bit of money than miss out on these big dogs. They've been good. I've taken last year. I've taken a few blind stabs on massive LFA dogs with minimum value and they hit. So you just have to pick your spots because sometimes the squash matches. Even this UFC card, I've been doing a lot of tape. I'll be doing my final bets tomorrow. Just trying to obviously have a lot of time with the break. Just trying to find some good bets. Going deep, taping 2-3 times. My best bets will be out tomorrow after the weigh-ins. Hopefully no one else pulls out after the weigh-ins. So luckily Cage Warriors was a small profit, 800. So I'm 700 up after losing the 100 on Garcia. So just have to be disciplined. Just have to be selective. You don't want to lose too much money on these LFA cards. Just sprinkle the dogs and hope for the best. Hope for some volatility. Hope for some injuries. Hopefully some good live bets in UFC. I think I'll have a lot more bets than I hoped. Straight after this, I'm going to go tape some more. Stay tuned for the podcast tomorrow. Other than that, if the week is going good, I might have a KSW podcast next week with the UFC. Other than that, good luck, everyone. Thanks for listening. Good luck on your bets. Tune in tomorrow for the best bets. And hopefully, I'm over 200 subscribers now after this. Hopefully, you guys have subscribed if you haven't before. Thanks to the boys that were in the chat. And I'll see you tomorrow.